My name is Eleanor Whitmore. I'm 32 years old. And 3 weeks ago, I was supposed to get married. At 6 a.m. on the morning of my wedding, I woke up in a hotel room that smelled faintly of hairspray and fresh flowers, with sunlight creeping through the curtains like it was afraid to interrupt something sacred. I felt exactly how I thought a woman was supposed to feel on her wedding day: nervous, excited, slightly nauseous, holding herself together with coffee and adrenaline. 200 guests were expected by noon. A vineyard estate, an hour outside the city, had been transformed into something out of a magazine. There was a live band, imported flowers, a cake that cost more than my first car. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. My phone buzzed at 10:30 a.m. We weren't supposed to text. Bad luck, tradition, superstition. Pick one. So when I saw his name on my screen, my stomach dropped before I even opened the message. I'm not coming. That was it, 4 words. I stared at them like they were written in another language. I read them again and again. My first thought was that it was a joke. My second was that something terrible had happened. Then another message came through. My ex just bought me a Rolls-Royce, a Cullinan. He showed up at my hotel this morning with the keys. It's in my name, fully paid. I felt my hands go cold. Then another. I know this is awful timing, but I can't marry you knowing what I'd be giving up. She can give me everything. And finally, you're amazing, Eleanor. You really are, but you're not that. I sat on the edge of the bed in my silk robe, hair half done, wedding dress hanging behind me like it was waiting for someone who no longer existed. 90 minutes. That's how long until the ceremony was supposed to start. Outside my door, my bridesmaids were laughing about something. Someone spilled champagne, someone forgot their shoes, and my boyfriend had just left me for a car. Not love, not passion, not destiny. A vehicle. Then my phone buzzed again. A photo. Him, smiling wider than I had ever seen him smile, standing beside a white Rolls-Royce, keys in his hand. The caption read, "New life starts now." That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not broken, not angry. Clear. Perfectly terrifyingly clear. I opened my banking app, scrolled, tapped on the trust account my grandfather's lawyer had set up months earlier. Balance, $5 million. Status, locked. I took a screenshot. Then I typed one message. I understand. Enjoy the car. I sent the screenshot. And beneath it, one final line. This unlocks 30 days after marriage. Guess you should have read the full terms. I slipped my phone into my purse, stood up, and walked out to face the day that was supposed to change my life, just not the way I'd imagined. I need to rewind. Because nothing that happened that morning makes sense unless you understand what my grandfather left me and what my boyfriend thought he was marrying. 6 months before the wedding, my grandfather died. 94 years old, sharp until the very end. The kind of man who still read the newspaper in print and corrected the anchors on TV when they got facts wrong. He'd been married to my grandmother for 68 years before she passed, and he never once stopped talking about her like she'd just stepped out of the room. To him, marriage wasn't romance. It was structure, responsibility, endurance. When the lawyer called me with the details of the will, I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at a half-finished wedding planning spreadsheet. Your grandfather left you a trust, the lawyer said. $5 million. I remember laughing, not because it was funny, but because grief does strange things to your brain. Then came the condition. I had to be legally married. The marriage had to last at least 30 days. If I divorced before that, the entire trust would be donated to charity. I told my boyfriend that same night. We were at his favorite Italian restaurant, the one with the terrible lighting and excellent pasta. The lawyer had barely finished explaining the terms before he was grinning. He stood up, hugged me so hard I nearly spilled my wine. "That's incredible," he said. "This is our future." He started talking immediately. Renovations, travel, investments, a business idea he'd always wanted to try. His mind moved fast, too fast. I should have noticed that he never once asked how I felt about it, about my grandfather, about the pressure, but I was grieving, and I was in love, and weddings have a way of making you ignore things that don't fit the story you're telling yourself. The weeks that followed were off. He became distant, always on his phone, always turning the screen away when I walked into the room. When I asked, he blamed wedding stress, vendor issues, family drama, seating charts. 3 days before the wedding, I saw a text flash on his phone while he was in the shower. The contact was saved as a single letter. D. The preview said Saturday, I promise. I didn't say anything, because confronting him would mean risking the illusion that everything was fine, and I didn't have the emotional bandwidth for that. The night before the wedding, he barely touched me. Said he was tired, nervous, wanted to sleep. I kissed his shoulder and told myself it was normal. The morning of the wedding, I woke up believing that. By noon, I knew better. Standing at the vineyard later that day, watching guests arrive with smiles and gifts and expectations, I realized something else, too. He hadn't panicked. He'd calculated. He didn't leave me because he loved his ex. He left me because he thought the number wasn't big enough. And the moment he realized it was, regret came crashing in. But by then, the decision was already made. And I was done protecting him from the consequences. By the time I arrived at the vineyard, it was 11:45 a.m. The place looked exactly like it did in the brochures, rolling green hills, long wooden tables draped in white linen, glassware catching the light like everything was already mid-celebration. Guests wandered through the gardens with drinks in hand, laughing, taking photos, telling each other how beautiful everything was. They didn't know. My mother saw me the second I stepped out of the car. She smiled, then stopped. Mothers know. They always know. She walked toward me slowly, her face tightening with every step. "What's wrong?" she asked quietly. "He's not coming," I said. Her hand flew to her mouth. "What do you mean, not coming?" I said evenly, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "He left me this morning, for his ex." There was a pause. Then my mother said something that would have made my grandfather proud, and the priest deeply uncomfortable. I found Father Mitchell near the altar. He'd known my grandfather for decades, had agreed to officiate despite knowing neither of us were especially religious. "Father," I said, "I need a minute." He smiled gently. "Of course. Is everything all right?" "The groom isn't coming." He blinked once. "I'm sorry?" "He left, this morning." Father Mitchell put a hand on my shoulder. "Take all the time you need." Next was the bridal suite. My maid of honor, Claire, looked up when I walked in, her smile faltering instantly. "Where is he?" "He's not coming." "What?" I showed her the texts. All of them. The photo. The caption. Her expression shifted from shock to pure fury. "Are you kidding me? Over a car?" "I need help telling people," I said. She nodded immediately. "You won't do this alone." By 12:30, the truth was everywhere. My family was livid. His family was mortified. His mother called me sobbing, apologizing, saying she had no idea, that she'd been calling him nonstop. His father never called. I later learned he'd gone to the hotel his son was supposed to be staying at, and found the room empty. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Missed calls, unknown numbers. Then messages. $5 million? You never said it was $5 million. I thought it was like $500,000. Call me right now. I turned my phone off. The ceremony was canceled, but I kept the reception. I wasn't about to waste $80,000 in food, drinks, and labor, because one man couldn't tell the difference between commitment and a luxury purchase. I stood in front of 200 people and said, "Thank you all for coming. As you've probably heard, there won't be a wedding today. The groom made other plans, but you're all here. The food is incredible. The bar is open, so please stay. Celebrate life. Just don't celebrate my marriage." There was laughter, some tears. Most people stayed. It turned into the strangest party of my life. My college friends started a conga line. My grandmother told me she never liked him anyway. My uncle toasted to dodged bullets. Around 4 o'clock, Claire handed me my phone back. "Are you ready?" she asked. 32 missed calls. One text stood out. "I'm outside. We need to talk." I took a breath and walked toward this parking lot. The parking lot was almost empty. Most of the guests were still inside, drinking champagne, pretending this was just an unconventional party and not the emotional wreckage of a wedding that never happened. He was standing near the edge of the lot when I saw him. Same outfit as in the photo. Designer jeans, crisp shirt, expensive watch. The confidence, though, that was gone. The moment he spotted me, he rushed forward. "Eleanor, thank God. Are you insane?" he said, voice shaking. $5 million? You didn't think to mention that detail? I stopped a few feet away from him. "I told you about the trust," I said calmly. "You knew it existed." "You said it was an inheritance, he snapped. "You didn't say it was $5 million. I thought it was like 500,000, max." I tilted my head. "Would it have mattered?" He froze. The silence stretched just long enough for the truth to crawl out between us. "Of course it would have mattered," he said. There it was. Not love, not panic, math. "Where's your ex?" I asked. His face fell. "She left." "Left?" She said I was being dramatic, that the car was a goodbye gift. She's moving to Monaco next week with her new boyfriend. I almost laughed. Almost. "So let me get this straight," I said. You left me on our wedding day for a woman who bought you a car as a breakup present. And now you're here because you realized I'm worth more than you thought. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. He stepped closer. We can still fix this. I'll apologize. We'll tell everyone I had a panic attack. People will understand. No, I said. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. His face crumpled. You don't mean that. I do. You made your choice. You chose a car over me. Over us. Over 200 people who showed up for us. That's not fair. Fair? I repeated softly. You humiliated me. And you only care now because you made a bad financial decision. I took a step back. Go home, I said. Keep the car. I hope it was worth it. I turned and walked away. He didn't follow. And for the first time all day, I felt light. The days after the wedding, that wasn't blurred together. I took the 2 weeks off I'd planned for the honeymoon, but instead of Greece, I drove north to my family's cabin. No cell service, no Wi-Fi, just pine trees, cold mornings, and the kind of silence that forces you to sit with yourself. I read, I slept, I drank a little too much whiskey the first few nights, then stopped. I let the shock drain out of my body slowly, the way poison does when it finally realizes it has nowhere left to hide. When I came back to the city, the story had already escaped my control. He tried to get ahead of it on social media, posted a carefully worded statement about mutual decisions and unforeseen circumstances. It lasted less than an hour. Claire commented, "Unforeseen circumstances like a Rolls-Royce?" Screenshots spread faster than explanations ever could. Friends picked sides. Some defended him. Others disappeared from his life completely. His ex posted a photo from Monaco with the caption, "Know your worth." Everyone assumed it was about him. It probably was. He emailed me. Long emails. Apologies wrapped in justifications. I didn't read them. My lawyer skimmed them and confirmed what I already knew. There was nothing he could take from me. No legal claim. No leverage. 3 months later, I sold the house we'd bought together, made a small profit, moved into a downtown apartment, smaller, quieter, mine. The trust fund unlocked last week. Well, part of it. Because I didn't marry within a year of my grandfather's death, only 60% transferred to me. The rest went to charity, exactly as he'd planned. $3 million. Life-changing, but not soul-changing. I was fine with that. I heard through mutual friends that he sold the Rolls-Royce. Turns out maintaining a $400,000 car on a normal salary is unsustainable. After taxes and fees, he walked away with about $280,000. I hope it helps him sleep at night. People ask if I regret sending that screenshot, if it was cruel. No, he made a decision based on money. I just showed him the real numbers. I'm not dating yet. I'm not in a rush. For the first time in years, my life feels quiet. In a good way. Uncomplicated. Honest. Father Mitchell called me last week. Said my grandfather would have been proud. I don't know about that. But I do know this. I didn't marry someone who valued luxury over loyalty. And that's worth more than any trust fund.